Have you ever wondered why, in different cultures around the world, the new year is actually celebrated at this time of the year? And how that seems to be more aligned with what we are observing in the cycles of nature? So, several ancestral traditions, such as the Celtic, the Mayans, the Aztecs, even the Chinese, and even in more Western civilizations like the carnivals that we're experiencing, those dancing and moving, putting both feet on the ground to awaken the earth, it is all giving us a sign that we're undergoing a process of change, of transformation. So it is like Mother Earth is transitioning from this old and wise woman that has lost all those leaves that we saw in the fall, and now is giving space for new green leaves to come out that will eventually then bloom, and we'll see flowers and we see fruits and all that nourishing and beauty that Mother Earth is giving us. So it is actually a moment of change, and every change has this period of transition that we have to prepare for. So we have also our own soil, our field. How can we prepare for that arrival of the spring, for that regreening and that reblossoming?
I think that is exactly the question that brought us together, Ana Paola. And we have found the best answers when we look back to our ancestors, as if to be able to actually walk towards our future, our destiny, it is very important to be grounded and to give thanks and to honor the roots and actually the soil that we're standing on. And that is how Ancestral Reminder, that is the project that we have together, was actually born, because both of us have had an interest in all of these like ancient traditions of wisdom, the Toltecs, the Egyptians, the Chinese, and they all point, as you were saying, to the same thing, where we then were talking and we noticed that even though in January we celebrated New Year's and everything kicked off, it is as if we have an internal compass that is our heart that is telling us, not yet. Like spring is coming, but there's still some work and preparation that we need to do. And we've also talked a lot, and we're both fascinated about how nature has this fractal language, where we see that, of course, nature passes through these changes that you're talking about, the four big ones being the spring equinox, and you have the summer solstice, and then the fall equinox, and then finally you have the winter solstice. But as human beings, we also pass for these four seasons. When we're children, it's like our spring, and then when we're teenagers or we get to the adolescence in our life, then it's like the summer, and then we enter into maturity, and that would be kind of like the fall. And finally, we arrive to the ancient wisdom of old age, and we arrive to our winter. And we can also see these seasons in different times in our lives. Like our relationship can also pass through these four seasons several times. Like maybe when we get married or when we have a kid, and then we awaken to a new spring. And that's what we have always found very interesting of the answers that we have found in our ancestors, of how we can align to nature and like kind of tap in to what's going on that will help us not only adapt, but to better thrive in different areas in our lives. And you and I have been friends for a long, long time, since, how old were we? Maybe 7? Okay, we won't say how old we are now, but yes, 37, so 30 years. And we've always been like very much in this relationship of knowing and finding out interesting things and sharing. So we thought, what better moment for something to be born that when everything in nature is preparing for that rebirth. And that's how Ancestral Reminder came to us. And we love the word reminder and remember because it comes from the Latin that means to do again, or to do again, we could say, and cordis, which is heart. So remember is actually to pass again through the heart. So it's not something like this knowledge that we're going to be talking about, especially this first time about the Toltec wisdom. It's not something that we need to invent. It's not something that we have to go out and buy or even discover. It's something that is inside of us. We just need to remember. And that is our first offering. How can we prepare our soil for the spring according to the Toltec wisdom that you have studied a lot?
Wow. Maribel, I'm listening to you and I'm thinking it is amazing to be collaborating with a friend that I love and that I admire a lot for this amazing journey. As you can all probably tell, Maribel has that gift of bringing beauty and light through spoken word and her presence. She holds the space for people going through grief. Also, from personal experiences, she's in a great position to be a support, a pillar for people going through those difficult moments, processes of change, closure of cycles. And she does that through rituals, a very beautiful way to integrate knowledge and learning from our life experiences that she'll be sharing more about. She's a psychotherapist. She works with family constellations, with cacao ceremonies. She has studied alchemy and Egyptian Hermetic astrology, and she shares her knowledge through a project called Ritualogia.
Thank you, Ana Paola. We were also talking about how nice it is to hear somebody describe you that loves you and that you share that relationship of not only love but also admiration. So thank you for those words that give a little like tight hug to my soul. And Ana Paola, her name in Nahuatl is the ancient language of the Aztecs. And her name in this language is Nahui Xochiquetzali. Nahui is actually the number, so it's 4. All of us, according to the day that we were born, have a number and then like an energy, or she'll talk us more about that later on. So Chiquetzali is like the energy, and it's the beauty of blossoming. And I have been a personal witness of this vocation that Ana Paola Nahui Xochiquetzali has of not only bringing beauty around her, but also helping us remind ourselves of the beauty of who we are and of the beauty of the earth that we stand on and the beauty of our ancestors, especially the Toltecs. And she offers, we can call them readings or sessions of the sacred energy of the day that you were born. So it would be kind of like when you have a natal chart in astrology, but according to the cosmology of the Aztecs. And you did mine. You gifted me this session of the energies that were present when I was born. And I have already told you, but not even my mother has described me in such beautiful and amazing way. And we all have that. And what if we could actually believe it? And not only for ourselves, but then to put that in service of others. So, oh yes, and I love that you described it as when I was born, that was the toolkit that like the universe or had gifted me. So then I can use that toolkit not only with me, but as we were saying, with others. And you're gonna talk about all of this of the Toltec wisdom now. We're gonna celebrate the new year according to the Aztecs. So yes, I'm super excited.
Thank you, Maribel. It sounds lovely, and I'm really happy that the information that I was able to share, because we're not teaching, we're not preaching, we are sharing knowledge that we've been blessed with, that we've received, and we are generating this beautiful community of people that want to dig a little deeper and become responsible of themselves to find the answers in our hearts. And that is actually what Toltec means. More than being like a civilization, it's a cosmovision in which you reach that degree of wisdom, and we call it abuelo, abuela, which is grandfather, grandmother, when you're able to reach 4 pillars. And the first pillar is actually science. It's observation. It's through what you look around that you understand. No, it's actually the principle of pure science, observe. And then you reach the second pillar, which is philosophy. It's the way you interpret all those things you're observing. And then comes the third pillar, art. Art is that beauty, like the expression of all what you've seen and perceived and mentally understood. And finally, you reach that fourth pillar, which is spirituality. So you can only be actually a spiritual being or reach that degree of being completely wise when you've gone through all these 4 pillars. And I'm really honored to have received this knowledge, which is a great heritage that our ancestors left us, which is one of the most precise ways of counting time that humanity has done. And this is amazing. Even the NASA refers to this calendar and the Mayan calendar as well. So it is a down-to-earth astronomy, let's say, because from the Earth is where we observe the cycles of all the stars, even the sun, the moon, and other planets, how that influences everything, even waters in the sea, our internal waters, also our emotions. No, so this way, our ancestors understood there were cycles and that the universe is in perfect and constant movement. So it is not an arbitrary way of counting time. It is mathematical, it's through observation, and it is heartfelt. So they could feel what energy, what force of nature is present in each day, and that there is a cycle that they repeat every 20 days. No, so everything that the earth gives us at the moment, the time and day that we were born, as you were saying, is the toolkit that will help us understand ourselves better and discover why we're here, what we're good for. And what is this for? To put it at service for your own healing and to put it at service of others, because we're not here alone. And this is why we are creating these safe spaces to share and to understand that we have to take responsibility of ourselves, that there's no external voice, guru, whatever, telling us what you should do, no? But you have some certain knowledge and then you understand, I can use this for my own process at this time for my healing, no? So our responsibility is to keep that inner light alive. No, even when we say we are light and we are stardust, it sounds beautiful, but it is actually science. Even scientists from astronomy and metaphysics have proven that we are in fact light and stardust. That's where we come from. So remember that observation is what comes first. So each day, and I will not have, of course, time in this short session that we're having to go through all the details of the calendar. I've been studying it for years now, and I'm still learning. And I think I'll continue learning until my last day on this planet, because it is like, wow, amazing. So just to simplify it, there is a presence of an energy on Earth that is represented with animals, which can be reptiles, mammals, or birds, plants, material objects, and also abstract ideas. And all of that knowledge has been embodied in codices. So I'm going to show you my codex here. Look how beautiful that is. This is the Codex Borgia. It's actually now in the Museum of the Vatican. And this is a great edition that I've been gifted with and that I honor. No, as you can see, there's no written alphabet or words. It's just these representations, colorful, of the energies present on Earth. So to get into what we're actually sharing today, what's happening for this new year, our ancestors were so wise that they realized that every transition moment needed its time to make that actually change, that transition. And so from March 7th to the 11th, we're going to start a very important time of the year, which is called the Nemontemi in Nahuatl. Nemontemi means days of reflection, days to complete what has been lived. And at the end of those 5 days, we celebrate the arrival of the new year according to the Mexica or Aztec calendar. So what is this time good for? To get rid of everything that is no longer useful for our lives, for our personal development, to thank the cycle that has finished, to honor that, all the learnings and the blessings, and to honor the new cycle that is about to begin. So it is a moment to reflect, to clarify our objectives, to obtain that physical, mental, and spiritual growth. So it is a great moment to ask ourselves, how do I nourish my mind, my body, my spirit? And let's get started. So the 5 days that we're going to start on the 7th of March, the first day has the energy of Cosca Cuautli, that is in Nahuatl, and that is translated as a white-necked eagle or a vulture. So the first thing that comes to mind, like we usually tend to think as vultures as like, oh no, but they're not hunters, they just eat like what other hunter animals have left. But have you actually thought of how important the role is in cleaning what would otherwise be waste and helping Mother Nature with all that process of renewal? Because nothing is actually considered waste. Our ancestors didn't even have that word in their language because everything was a resource again for a new cycle. No, so let's ask ourselves, with this energy, what do I need to heal in my life? And we came up with this great answer. What is the key to that? It is love. Because it takes a lot of love, of pure love, to be able to see virtue where others see something negative, to see the value and the resource where others only see waste. So that is the question to ask ourselves, and that is the key to find the answer. And so Maribel, tell us about the second day.
Okay, so the second day, it's going to be the 8th of March, and it's dedicated, or the energy that is present that day is Olin. That is in Nahuatl, and the translation would be movement. And the key question would be, how are you faithful to yourself when you change the direction in your life? And it tends to happen that the external noise tends to be too loud and too loud for us to hear the voice of our heart. And sometimes we think that the noise is external, but it's actually inside of our minds. And that internal noise can be expectations, beliefs of what I should be, maybe some family loyalties because I was born into a family of architects. So now I feel that I need to be an architect to be part of this family. So all of this noise, we need to go back to our hearts, to our compass, because the voice of our heart knows, while the voice of our mind thinks. And that's a very big distinction. Knowing and thinking. They're both valuable assets, but you need to know when to use which. And so we found that what will help us to answer this question is actually trust. So if I'm going to be faithful to myself when I'm changing the direction in my life in these times of crisis, that is what is going right now on in nature. We were talking about this transformation. I need to trust my internal compass. And that takes us to day number 3, which will be the 9th of March. And it is the energy of Tekpal, which translates as obsidian knife. And I really love the energy of the obsidian knife because I have it very present in my totonal scene. That is how you call these reading sessions that you do about the energy when you were born. And it helps us to ask ourselves, what do I need to cut from my life? What is no longer needed in my life? And it does a sharp cut. Like, it's very, very neat how the obsidian knife does its work. And it is as if the obsidian, that we also work with it a lot in the Toltec tradition. We've been talking about how the abuelos, the grandfathers, and the abuelas, the grandmothers, use the obsidian mirror when they're doing work with, let's call it shadow work. And it takes a lot of courage to see yourself in the black mirror, to open yourself to what you see in the smoke of the copal, in that obsidian that is going to show you your subconscious. Because what is very interesting that we were talking about the obsidian is that it is born in the volcanic lava. So like in the womb of Mother Earth, in her, let's say, subconscious, because it's what we cannot see. And that is why it is so powerful to help us see what we cannot see. And it also does it in a compassionate way. So it's strong and it's powerful, but it's also very compassionate. And the key for making that cut in your life, we came up with forgiveness. And forgiveness of others, and also forgiveness of ourselves. And that would be day number 3. Take us to day number 4.
Thank you, Maribel. Oh, this is such a powerful reflection, because working with the shadow also is bringing light, because that's also what the obsidian light was used for, to bring that light up. So it's not that it's dark, it's the absence of light. So we bring light into that. So now let's see what will happen on the 10th of March. We'll have the energy of Quillawit. Quillawit means the rain. And the rain is that energy of celestial water, because it comes down from the skies. And so it's like a masculine form of energy of water, because then we have the energy of the water in the rivers and the sea, which is more feminine. So if we think about the water, it can be this light shower that brings us that fresh breeze that helps to water our plants, and to allow for life on the soil and everything that is planted. But it can also be a thunderstorm, thunders and lightings. So it is important to use that energy in balance. And when we have a storm, a personal storm, that we have to let it out, like our tears have to come out, then we feel that peace and that clarity. Like when a baby cries and cries and cries, and then baby's able to sleep afterwards like an angel, because we've let it all out. And that is also important for ourselves, even if we're no longer babies, because we tend, society, culture, family, whatever, has sort of imposed a way that we have to show up to the world always positive and like up here, and I'm in control of everything. But actually, why then do we have all those emotions that we tag as negative, such as anger, fear, or sadness? No, they have their function. No, the importance is to have them in balance. No, so sadness comes to give me information that I need to discover and then let it go, but not hang on to it, because then it'll become a depression, right? So everything in its right balance, not in that polarity. And that is what this wisdom is also teaching us. Every energy that is present, it's not that it's good or bad, it just has to be central. So not like the water, if there's no water, then just everything's dry, it doesn't flow. No, but if there's thunders, I can actually hurt somebody or myself. No, if I throw thunders and lightning's the way. So the question for the energy of this day of the rain is, what do I need to clean in my life? No, that water cleans everything in the environment. And the key is gratitude, because we need that. I think that being grateful for what has happened in our lives, to have that clarity after the storm, to see the blessing from that storm that we went through. So gratitude is the key, and the clarity that comes after that rain. And finally, that rain also prepares the soil, prepares our field for the fifth day, which is Maribel.
Yeah, so we finally arrived to the fifth day, which is the 11th of March, and it is the energy of Sochi. And that is also in Nahuatl, and the meaning is flower. So the key question to ask ourselves that day is, what is ready to blossom in my life? And we found, and we talked a lot about this one, that the key was renewal. And renewal, because everything that ends is a new beginning. And everything that is a new beginning at the same time as it is an end. And this is something that I was talking about with my teacher of astrology and alchemy. He talks a lot about how Egyptians used to view life. And I love how he was talking about time as being a cycle. So not seeing it as linear, where you have past, present, future, but as the infinity symbol, that it ends and it starts, it ends and it starts, and that it is an infinite dance. And we sometimes think that you have death and then the opposite is life. But really, it doesn't work like that. You have death, and then on the opposite side, you would have birth. But our life is what occurs in the middle. And so we see that in every death, there is a new beginning. And now we have gone through the death of the winter, and we're coming to a new rebirth, to a new spring. And something that I found very interesting and shocking too, is that many old people die in the winter because they don't have like a purpose for a new spring. There's nothing that they look forward to. There's nothing that they want to plant in their soil anymore. So how important it is for us to feel into ourselves and ask this question, what is ready to blossom, to grow, to give fruit, as you were saying? And for that, we need to discover the beauty, not only in the beginning of our cycles, but also in the culmination. And for that, we have also seen how important it is to tap into, as we were saying, this ancient knowledge. And all of this amazing information, for it to actually become knowledge for me, for you, for us, we need to go through experience. Like, if there's no other way that you can make it your own, if you don't live it, if you don't dance it, you don't sing it, you don't sweat it, like, that's when the universe says, okay, like, you paid the price, it's yours now to use, and it's your new tool that you can bring into your toolkit for your life. And that's where we think that rituals are so so important and so significant, and that right now they're kind of hip. They're in the to do rituals, and for us it's always going back to our roots. And we see that a ritual is a symbol, and as humans we tend to react more to symbols than to the spoken word. So what the ritual helps us is an inner process that is going on inside to put it out in the outside, so I can be witness of my process and that I can integrate it into my life. And as we were saying, that I can, make it my own, make it mine, make it part of myself. And that's what we're proposing you to join for this new year, according to the Toltecs, to the Aztecs, Mexicas. I like saying their names, because so when you say their names, you're also bringing them back to life and honoring them. So for us, Ancestral Reminder is something that we want to share with you. We want to get together to remember together. And we think that reminder is an interesting and funny word, and we used it intentionally because it's as if life is crazy, like the world is going so fast. And in many ways, we're going through a crisis as humanity. Institutions that once were authority for us and that we trusted are dissolving. And it's as if we're in this quicksand and we're looking for ways and things that we can grab onto and ground ourselves. And for that, Ancestral Reminder is as if our ancestors and these ancient traditions of wisdom were like sending us a WhatsApp or knocking on our door, or ringing a bell and saying, hey, my child, it's time to prepare the soil like it is now before the celebration. Or in the summer solstice, it's time to glow and shine as the sun. Or then in the winter, it's time to go like the animals into caves and hibernate. What we want to do is create a community. We want to do like this online workshops and courses. We want to also do like live retreats where we can meet each other and share in person. And we're Mexican, so in Mexico, and you're living in Spain, so in Spain. I'm in Germany, and wherever life takes us, we're open to sharing. We also want to talk more about these topics because this is what we do every week. We get together and we talk about the Egyptians and alchemy and the Toltecs and meditation, and it's what we want to offer because, as you can see, it resonates very deep in our hearts and in our friendship. Is there something else you want to say, Ana Paola?
that it is an honor to be able to continue sharing and creating this together, no, because we are honoring also the beautiful being that shared this knowledge with me, which tells me, do not call me a master, call me a sister, because we are in this together, learning while we're walking on this earth. And so, and that is what we're doing, continuing, like offering through word, through experiences together, these great tools that we have just for our own healing and for everyone else around us, and for our own planet, Mother Earth. So I just like to thank you and thank everything for this space. And I would like to say with the word in Nahuatl, which is Tlazocamati, which means I receive with joy what you are giving me, and I put it into my heart. I place it in my heart. So
thank you, Ana Paola. And before closing, I just forgot to say that you can find us on Instagram as Ancestral Reminder. There we're going to be sharing more information about all of this, and we're going to post like a more detailed, let's say, guide for a ritual that you could do for these 5 days if you choose to and if it resonates with you. And as all great cooks, we think that this guide is a mere recipe that is there to give some, like, yeah, keys of what you can do, but also, or not also, always when you're cooking, like the best dishes is when you follow your own flavor and you add to it, and you trust your palate and your own appetite to see what you come up with. So it's always important to have like the guidance of, it's not even ours, it's the ancestors' guidance, and then to trust your internal compass to do whatever adjustment it has to do for it to be the exactly perfect meal that you need this time in your life. Thank you so much, Ana Paola.
Thank you, Maribel. And thank you, everyone listening.
Thank you. Until the next one. Tlazo Kamati.
Tlazo Kamati.